Hello and welcome back to a new series of Yorkshire Talks. I'm Matt Jameson.
And I'm Christine Talbot. And during this series, we talk to a new generation of Yorkshire folk with a different and interesting story to tell.
We find out what makes them tick and why they love being from here in God's own country.
Lovely to see you again.
You too.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? What have you been up to? How's the fam?
The family's all ticking along nicely. My house building's still going on and we're nearly there.
I know that's been going on for a while, but I'm loving all the stuff you've been putting on socials. It looks great.
I keep thinking I'm boring everybody by putting it on YouTube. You know, I'm thinking, yeah, you can only look at a building site so often, can't you? But we're getting to the bit now where things are being decorated and colour schemes.
I can't wait to see the finished product. I'm sure it's going to look fabulous.
You'll have to come round for a cuppa
I
when I finally get in.
I'm delighted to say that this episode is sponsored by patient.info, the UK's leading independent health information website.
Yes, with trusted evidence-based advice written by health professionals, millions of people are turning to patient.info every month to find out about their symptoms or just check in on their health and well-being.
So for reliable tools, articles and resources, why not visit patient.info?
Well, today's guest certainly has got an incredible story to tell. She was born in Kippax in Yorkshire and her unique gifts have taken her on a fascinating journey.
Julie Crier is a medium and says her ability to communicate with people that have passed away became apparent when she was just a toddler and something which remained a secret within her family.
Well, when she finally decided to go public about her gift, it took her into a world of celebrity and she became a psychic to some of our best known stars and gained fame herself through her TV appearances. Now, we do know it's a controversial subject. This is something that Julie herself will freely admit, but she is now celebrating 50 years in the business. I think we have to say welcome to Yorkshire Talks.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me today.
It's lovely to have you with us.
Nice to meet you.
I just mentioned there, it's a controversial subject.
Very.
And some people find it a frightening, scary subject. People just don't believe in any kind of afterlife at all. Obviously, you've lived a life where this has been your main
I've not known any of the life. This is the life I've lived.
So what would you say to people who say there's no such thing as life after death or no such thing as being able to talk to
anyone? I've never
anyone?
tried to convert anybody. And if we've had conversations away from readings, I've always, said to people, it's up to you, whatever you want to decide. But I would just say to them, have an open mind and be open-minded about the person that's saying, this is what I can do, this is what I've got. And look at reputation, look at people's comments, look at how they've, like with me, I've vocated my life to it and it's all been for the good. It's not been for a bad reason. So I would just say, just be open-minded if you can. But if they don't want to, then that's their choice. And again, would never try and convert anybody.
So you said, as I kind of said at the beginning, you kind of first were made aware or knew there was something different when you were a toddler. Can you explain how that came about and how you knew something was happening?
Well, I was too young to probably know myself, but my parents were, kind of struggling with things that I was saying, particularly my mum, because I was discussing her mum that had died. And I was saying things that were very personal that I couldn't have possibly known. And also at that age, wouldn't have come up with the words. So they both decided that there was something going on. But as I got to like the 3, 4, 5 age, I realised that I was seeing people that other people weren't seeing. That made me scared, but it also made me withdraw a little bit and think, oh, no, I'm not going to mention it because, nobody else is doing this. And it continued through the whole of my childhood and into my teens. And I would say that it then became a really difficult time to deal with that myself.
In what way? What?
Because I didn't understand it. I didn't know, in those days, like everybody does today, you watch scary films or you'd be talked about the ghosts and bogeyman and everything. So I felt it wasn't right. It wasn't good. And I think because I had no one to talk to about it, then I just clammed up, just became very withdrawn about it. And it was my parents that protected me through it. They were brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
So you said that you could see people that weren't there. What did that look like? And
they just looked like people.
Just like people.
I mean, there was no doubt to me it was a person. They looked like a person. They had the features, the characteristics.
Right.
They would talk, so I'd hear the voice, and I'd repeat conversations that had gone on. And looking back, I think my parents were just amazing. I mean, they really did have to protect me, because it was also the early 60s. And in those days, there was schizophrenia talked about, there was split personality, there was even putting people into homes, for mental illnesses that weren't talked about today. So they were quite fearful that if it got out, that it would be seen as something completely different. And they never doubted, particularly my father, constantly said, it's a gift. This is a gift. You must let this happen, and you must just continue with, with it.
Your
really.
father was a creative man, wasn't he? Was he an opera singer?
Yeah, he was a trained top C tenor.
Do you think that made him more open
definitely.
to?
Yeah, he was took out of the pits at, I think, the age of 12 or 13 to be trained by Durham Cathedral choir master as a top singer, top seat, So, and he sang for Durham prisoners, and he sang in the streets at the big meeting. He sang under the Prime Minister's balcony and everything. And he sang like Andrea Spagelli.
Wow.
So because of his gift, he used to say, there are gifts and they're not always what everybody thinks. And therefore he did really protect me. He was amazing.
And maybe encourage that as well. You've got to
Well, he
embrace
encouraged
it.
me in a loving way. It was always, everything my parents did was with love and affection and protection. I can't emphasise that word enough.
Did it become known within your close circle, your family? And
Oh yeah, my aunties were hilarious because they were like something out of a comedy. I'd walk in and I'd be like 13 or 14 and they'd hand me a teacup or something, not realising, and say, can you read my tea leaves, or, can you tell us anything, or do you get anybody? So it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in the family. And they used to all call me our Jules, and they just saw our Jules as somebody who just could do something that nobody else could do. I was a bit of a party trick, but in a fun way, a loving way. And they again were really good.
Did people want to know about the future? Like, am I going to win the lottery, or give me the lottery?
No, because the lottery didn't exist. But in those days, it was all about mediumship and communicating with people that had died. So it was only when I started doing quite a lot of readings that the future became obvious to both me and the people that I did the readings for. Right. So for quite a long time, I didn't realise that I could see the future as much as what I could.
Wow.
I see.
And it was just about giving comfort to people.
Yeah, just
that had maybe
comfort
lost someone.
and communicating and passing messages on and saying things that helped people in difficult times.
So initially you would just see people. That must have been quite frightening as a little girl.
Very scary, because, I'd kind of, I'd just gone to bed, and then I'd see somebody in the room and someone would be sat on the end of the bed. And I'd go into houses with my parents that were old houses, and there'd be what I know is the spirit of the person that used to live there.
What would they say to you then? Are they trying to
very
communicate
friendly and
with
warm,
you?
things like hello and, just chatting and telling me who they were.
Right.
And my grandfather, who I was really close to, died when I was 10. And he came back immediately to tell me that he was no longer in pain with cancer.
Gosh.
And would I tell my dad that he loved him very much and everything. And that was for me amazing, because I recognised him, I knew him.
So does death not scare you? Because the fact that your grandpa's died, but you might be able to talk to him again.
No, it doesn't scare me at all. I'm like everybody else. I don't want to go because I've got family and loved ones, and I want to live life to the full and enjoy life. But I have been in a near-death incident myself, about year 2002, and I passed away for a few seconds.
Oh, wow.
And I heard my dad was talking to me, but he was telling me to go back. So death doesn't scare me, but I understand why people don't want to die and are very nervous of dying. But certainly what's ahead is incredible. The reunion is just breathtaking.
I mean, that must bring a lot of comfort to people.
Yeah.
If people think that it's not the end, and then they might well meet up again with someone they love.
I think people that truly believe in the afterlife, and that's even without readings, that brings them comfort, because they feel life goes on, and they also feel their loved ones that they've lost are still with them, looking after them. People will say to me, oh, I've had a sign, something happened.
Yeah.
We know white feathers. People talk about angels, white feathers, or just something will happen and they'll think, that's come from my mum or my dad or something, and that's their own comfort. That's a very personal thing to them.
I feel quite connected with that, what you're saying, because I think there are moments, and I've throughout my whole life, I think, where I've kind of thought, I need some kind of sign, or I just need some kind of direction. And every time I've done that, there has been something. that has happened, or do you know, just
I think
maybe
it's
a
a
little
gut
thing?
feeling as well. I think
Yeah.
sometimes certain changes in your life that you weren't expecting or you're not ready for, you embrace it suddenly thinking, I feel someone's pushing me. I've got some strength or some positivity that I didn't have before. So it's like an invisible source. It's an invisible energy. But the difference is I expose that energy. I talk about that energy and I give evidence of that energy.
Right.
So there is a difference in that way.
So when you were a little girl, you'd see people.
Yeah.
Were they just living their lives as if they thought they hadn't died?
No, they're very aware they've passed away. The
Right,
moment you
right.
pass over, you're very aware that you have.
Yeah.
I think the joy is, whether you believe in it or not, that there is an afterlife. So therefore, again, the reunion that you have, with friends, family, people from school days, it's just stunning, absolutely stunning. And I think, I described this the other day, someone asked me what the love was like in the spirit world. I said, if you've got a pet that you adore, and the way a pet loves you back, unconditional, pure, beautiful, that's the feeling of the spirit world.
Right.
Yeah.
That is lovely to think
It is.
about.
It's just
isn't
that
it?
feeling of
Yeah.
there's nothing that makes it feel anything but absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you decide to take this and go public with it? How old were you, and what happened?
It's really strange. I went to see a very famous medium from Leeds called Doris Chamberlain, and everybody was going to her at the time. And I went a bit tongue in cheek. And when I went in, she said straight away, I've been waiting for you. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. She said, oh, no, I've been waiting for you. And she started talking about what I was experiencing, which was wonderful because I'd not really spoken to strangers about it. And then she said, you're going to take over from me. I was like, I'm not. There's no way I am doing this, because I was career-minded. I was a young woman. I wanted to be in the police force. I wanted to do so many things. And she said, you've got no choice. So I went back to work, and I kind of decided that it was the time to say at work what I was experiencing. And they, again, most of them embraced me wonderfully and just said, we know.
How old were you at the time?
I was 17.
Right, okay.
And I just remember being at work and, trying to take a deep breath and thinking, how can I tell them? What will they say? What will happen? Will they still want to be my friend? And when I mentioned it, they were absolutely lovely. And they just said, you've been finishing our sentences off. You've been talking about things that you shouldn't understand. So it became a dinner hour kind of fun thing. Let's do a reading. And that's how it began, as simple as that, with colleagues in my dinner hour after work. But then it became more serious, because someone would say, oh, my auntie's lost a son. Would you mind going to see her?
Yeah.
So I started doing, I'm only laughing because I was doing mobile readings in, my husband was my boyfriend at the time, work van, travelling all the way to somewhere like Morley to do someone who lost the son. But he was amazing. He just said, well, it's what you're about, it's what you need to do. So it was very organic. It just happened. And then my name just spread.
Yeah.
And then you kind of embraced it then.
Well,
and
I think I felt I'd found myself. It was like suddenly like, oh, wow, this is
what I'm meant to do.
maybe what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
And I think the readings enabled me to give the gift and not get rid of the gift, but, bring the gift out. The more readings I did, the more I became comfortable with what I had and who I was. But I think I then couldn't have expected the amount of success and fame that was ahead, because that wasn't why I was doing the readings. And I was still working in the civil service.
How did that come about? How did you...
I think my name was spreading through, I used to do a lot of young girls from the airlines in Manchester, and they were talking about me on the trips to Barbados and everywhere. So I was getting phone calls from abroad and London and all over saying, I was on an airline the other day and this girl said, about you. So that was quite strange. But I think it was the first real pivotal was I was in More magazine and Just 17 magazine, I think probably late 80s. And that really did expose and open up and make people interested in me.
And was that a positive experience then? What kind
Yeah,
of
it was, because the
of
write-up was lovely.
exposure
Yeah, the
was it?
journalist did a lovely write-up and she
Right.
let me read it first. There was nothing derogatory and everything, and it was just lovely.
Right.
So people generally were saying, oh, wow. But I think it was also because long before social media, it was then a platform
Of
that
course.
people never expected somebody from Kipax to be in.
I know.
you know, and Yorkshire Post, I became their agony aunt for a while. And then I was on radio. So the exposure kind of happened again quite generically, but it happened at a speed that I think I didn't realise, you know, it was almost like, wow, it's going
And
somewhere.
you were on This Morning with Richard and Judy,
Yeah,
weren't you?
that was a lovely experience. I got a phone call and thought it was a joke, so I put the phone down. And they said they wanted me to be interviewed because I'd actually done a reading for a lovely lady, very dear friend now, Christine Yorkshire,
Yes.
who'd lost her son. Very interesting story, just quickly. I'd lost my parents together and I was devastated and I wanted a reading, and Christine had done a piece in the Daily Mail about going to a medium for Daniel. So I rang her and said, Mrs. Yorkshire, I'm really sorry, could I have the number of the medium? She says, oh, just wait on, I'll get the number. So she started to read my phone number out and she said, why have I got your phone number in my handbag? And I said, I don't know. She said, who are you? You know, so she said, I've just had you recommended.
Right.
So it was really strange, and I apologised and said, this is not a setup. Trust me, I want to see somebody. So I did Christina reading, which turned out to be breathtaking. It was wonderful. And it just went public.
Wow.
So this morning rang me and said, would I go on? So I said to Christine, please come on with me, you know, because it'd be only right. And Richard Madeley interviewed us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a lovely interview. Lovely.
Why did you, if you wanted to contact your parents, why did you need to go to somebody else? Is there...
Because I work with my father. I've been working with my father the moment he passed away. He came before he died. He was dying of brain cancer, and he said that he wanted to work with me the moment he died. He wanted to be my guardian, the person that I went to. And he was adamant that that was his path.
Right.
But I wanted to go to somebody, like people come to me who didn't know me, didn't know any information, and could just give me some messages that would make me feel uplifted from them.
Right.
And
So
it never happened.
right, it didn't happen.
No, because I never went to anybody. I didn't really find somebody that I felt could do the depth of a reading that I did.
Right. So
And
your
that's what I
parents,
needed.
you could talk to your parents all the time, but you wanted an outsider.
I just wanted a reading. I know it might sound a bit crazy with what I do, but I just wanted the experience of going to somebody and them saying, I've got your father or your mum, and this is what they're saying.
I might be able to tell you something
and
that you
just something
don't
that
know.
was like a nice message that came from somewhere else. And it never happened, sadly.
So obviously this gave you the massive exposure, and then suddenly every celebrity wanted to speak to you.
The Judy and Richard show kept sending mail, because again, it was in the day before social media. So these bags of mail kept turning up at the studios, and they were sending letters from all over the country saying, you know, I've lost somebody, I've done this, can I see you for a reading? I had a diary, and my diary was like 3 or 4 years in advance. It was crazy.
Wow.
And it just I felt a little bit like I wanted someone else to be able to do it with me, you know, for me, with me. Richard Madeley rang a couple of times saying they'd had great response on the show, and it was just very flattering. And then I went on Time the Place with John Stapleton as the expert psychic when they had those programmes. But it just became like the floodgates had opened. And that was it. The decision was that I needed to stop working, because I was working in the civil service, and my boss called me in one day and said, you're too known. You can't do the work that I was on counter. I was seeing people. She said, you're just too known. You're going to have to make a decision. You either give up your readings or, which was understandable.
Yeah. So
big risk. Gave up a very good job, well paid, sick pay, holiday pay, everything, and just went self-employed. Totally.
And went well.
Well, it did.
You
It went too well.
Yeah.
You did some big stars. I know.
The interesting thing for me personally is I love television, Netflix, television, everything. And every night there is several programmes with people on that I've done readings for every night.
Wow.
And that can be a soap, a drama, a Netflix film, something. I find that quite nice.
Well, yeah, it's
lovely.
It shows, doesn't it, the support that you're getting, but also the credibility as well, I guess, to a level.
When you do a reading for someone well-known, famous celebrity, the honour is, the privilege is that they trust you because they're working in a world where a snippet, particularly, you know, when there was the hacking with the papers.
Yes.
Because I did a reading for one of John Lennon's best friends, and one of the big national papers must have found out, not through me, through someone else, and ran me to say they wanted to do a feature on it. And I refused point blank. So I think with celebrities, their fear is that you're going to expose their darkest thought.
Did John Lennon come to talk to you?
Yeah. But it's the wonderful thing about that for me was just a reading of a very lovely man who wasn't a musician, by the way, who was a really good friend of John's in later life. And he just wanted to know he was okay.
Yeah. Well, when you're there and suddenly John Lennon's there, how does that make you feel?
I think it depends. I mean, one of my favourite readings was Larry Grayson, because I was a big Larry Grayson fan from the London Palladium, the Generation Game. But also his best friends all came through, which was Tony Hancock, Kenny Williams, Frankie Howard. Well, I was brought up on all these people. And they were all his friends just coming through to chat to him about the days when they worked long before the big television success. And Tony Hancock, my father adored him. So I felt very privileged. And Larry and Noel Gordon came through. That's why he visited me.
Oh my goodness.
He wanted to speak to his beloved Nolly.
Yeah.
So,
and all these people. So when they come through, do they say who they are, or do you just recognise?
Well, I recognise. I mean, obviously, with famous, I recognise. One of my favourite, again, readings was a lady in Harrogate who I did a reading for, and I sat down. And I said, "Look, I feel mad, but I've got Princess Grace of Monaco," because I recognised her straight away. And she went, "Yes." And I said, "I've got George Sanders, the actor." She went, "Yes." And I was like, and it turned out...
like, who are you?
Well, a husband who departed had worked in the film industry in Cannes every year. And she took me in a room after the reading, the photographs in there, Princess Grace of Monaco, George Sanders, Roger Moore, you know, because that was their world.
Yeah,
but I thought I was going mad.
Wow.
I thought, why have I got Princess Grace of Monaco on a reading? But it was a very dear friend.
And are you starstruck
No,
when you? No,
never.
you're not. No.
Well, I'll tell you later about one starstruck. There's only once I've been starstruck. Once.
Right.
But never, because I love people. I absolutely love working with the public. And there are some incredible everyday heroes, as we know. I've done a lot of people from the fire service, police, veterans of war. So really, the reading is as interesting as the person.
Yeah.
And the fame side for me was just, for me, it was always a kind of fun side to it. You know, wow, I got into that world and...
Yeah, and you never thought that these people would be coming and speaking to you?
Never, no. So, and even sometimes somebody from just the ordinary everyday person would have a famous friend. But...
Wow, it's so interesting.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, because I worked in the music industry as well as a psychic. And that was very strange, because I worked with a music genre that I didn't understand. It was the Britpop era.
Right.
And I'm from Northern Soul, full
You're a big Northern Soul
full
fan,
Northern
aren't you?
Soul, definitely.
Yeah.
Through and through, Motown, Northern Soul. So half the time I had no idea who I was sat with. No idea.
So what? Say, for example, Princess Grace. What happens when? Was she wearing the full?
No.
Princess Grace?
She just looked very elegant. She looked beautiful.
And what does she say?
She wanted to communicate with the lady that I was doing the reading for, and talk about times they'd spent together when they were in Cannes together, and send her best love, her wishes, and just reconnect with her.
Wow.
I think that I'd gone to do the reading to communicate with her husband, but that made the lady more convinced, because
you didn't
how
know.
would I have known that?
Yeah.
And this is the thing I think that I'm so interested in, is the messages that people then bring and want. You're doing a reading for somebody and they're talking about that person that's there. Is it always positive, or is there because I know that some people say, other mediums, and there's talk, isn't there, about never give any bad news to anybody, but what kind of responsibility do you feel, and what stuff would you maybe not say?
When I do a reading, and when I've done readings, my responsibility is not to hurt the person that's in front of me in any way. And I've refused to do readings because I've thought somebody was too vulnerable and too not over the grief in any way enough to cope with the reading. So it's up to me to say, I don't think you should have that reading today, leave it another year or a few months. I sieve the reading, which people can't understand how I have time to do it because I talk like a 3-way conversation.
Yeah.
So if there was anything that I felt was distressing, I wouldn't say it.
Okay.
Because why? You know, you wouldn't sit and predict illness to somebody or a miscarriage or anything. So
But
no.
do you get that information?
Yeah, I mean, I have
sometimes?
seen things but because I can sieve it, and I can sieve it at a speed that nobody can work out. So as I was talking to the person, I'm talking also. If you can imagine, I'm talking to you doing a reading. It's different. You wouldn't see this. I look away and I'm talking to the person spiritually, but you don't physically see it. And I'm going, all right then. So why are they here? You died of cancer. What kind of cancer? And that's at a speed that even I can't explain.
And that's just kind of happening.
That's happening. It's like
there.
a 3-way. And then if they said, oh, I'm really concerned about the health, I'd be chatting, but I'd still be chatting to you. But then I say, oh, I'm not going to say that. That's not appropriate today. So I have the power in a way to refuse to say anything that I don't feel is appropriate. And I think that's up to me to be that responsible.
Wow.
And that's, I think, why people came to me.
Yeah.
Because they trusted me,
Yeah.
which is again, a privilege.
And one of the reasons, I mean, I think probably the most common reason people start to come to you is because they've lost somebody. So there's grief, isn't there? And they're going,
Yeah.
and they're coming to you for help, aren't they? And that must be that's
I think
a big
the people that visit
responsibility.
mediums, particularly after the loss of someone they love, it is to communicate. That's what it's about. But often it can be closure. It is a closure of something that was happening before they passed away, especially if they've had really, really ill health and they've watched someone pass away like I did with parents in a dreadful way. Some people say, oh, you're preying on the vulnerable and you're preying on this, but you're not, because they decide to come. They know why they're coming. The thing I would say is any responsible medium should be the one that says, you are not ready for a reading. This is not the right time. Or I've had people ring me within a week. They haven't even had the funeral. And they've said, I've lost my mum. It's like, no way. No, no way. So I think it's the responsibility of the medium to look after the people that are approaching them.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have vulnerable people.
Yeah. It's a difficult one for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it must be quite upsetting for you at times. How does it affect you personally?
Fortunately, it doesn't. I think that's part of the gift, because I couldn't do the work. I've done some very tragic readings, especially around children, the loss of children. And I realised that it's like people suppose that work in palliative care. How do they do that? But they do it. They're dedicated to it. So I have done readings where it's touched my soul very much, but I don't cry and I don't get upset, because that isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, and the gift protects me in that way. I think I couldn't have definitely done the work I've done if I found it distressing. I've done too many readings that are very on the edge of, very complex.
Because people are so desperate for something, aren't they? A sign of
They
something.
are, but I think that desperation is over exaggerated. I mean, often the people that came to me, I wouldn't call them desperate. I would just call them in grief.
Yeah.
Grieved. And because I know grief myself, and I have grief every day of my life, because it doesn't go, I understand that.
It's kind of peace of mind, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
wanting that peace of mind to know that there is something more. Because I think, especially if someone passes away,
Yeah.
it's very much about not comprehending that that's just the end.
Yeah.
And knowing that there is
And
something
it's difficult
more.
because I know so many people listening to this now will think, well, it just ends. You end. That's it.
Yeah.
I know my nana used to say that. You'd never.
That's a choice. I think the lovely thing in this world, we're supposed to be about freedom of speech, and it's a choice. And if that's your choice, your decision, then live by that if you wish. I think where I came in was people that didn't live by that and had a different outlook, had a vehicle, had someone to go to. And the thing I always felt quite comforted by was that I went on word of mouth and reputation, particularly, again, long before social media.
Yeah.
So someone would say to someone else, go see Julie Crier, go see her. Not go
Yes.
see a medium. They'd just go see Julie Crier.
Yeah. Well, I know, working in television, your name. I know that you a lot of people at Yorkshire Television you were seeing, and people really set store by the advice you would give them. Career paths.
Yeah.
In fact, Mark Addy, the actor.
Mark was really sweet, because I bumped into him in Leeds by accident. It was in a coffee bar, with a very dear friend of mine, and they'd both been to Emmerdale for the same role for an audition. So I sat down, and my really close friend understood what I was like really well. And he said, "Do you think we've got it?" And I went, "No, not really. No, sorry, I can't say it because I can't tell lies." Like this. So I turned to Mark and I said, "Oh my God," I said, "you are going to become the biggest star ever." I said, "You're going to Hollywood." And Mark's going, he actually said to me, "Have you took a drug?" I said, "You're going to Hollywood, but you're going to become a sex symbol." And he actually said almost what he said in The Full Monty, because he was a lovely man. I'd met Mark a few times in the theatre years before. And I said, "It's incredible. I can't tell you how." So my other friend, and I said, "Oh, you're going into one of the biggest comedies ever," which turned out to be Dinner Ladies.
Yes.
He became the lead in Dinner Ladies.
Oh, yes.
So really, the reason I was able to say no about the audition,
because there was a positive.
there was this.
You knew there
So
was
Mark
more.
never forgot that. And I bumped into Mark at a theatre about 6 years ago. He's always remembered it, and he's always
Because it was
been...
the Full Monty made his name.
Oh,
wasn't
well,
it? Yeah.
The Full Monty came out, I think, possibly 2 years later. And everywhere you went, it was Mark Addy on the poster, "You sexy thing."
Yeah.
And even in the film, she calls him that. And then he went on to Hollywood to work with Michael Keaton, and he worked in Game of Thrones, hasn't he, in recent years.
Yeah.
But he's lovely. And when I've met him, he has been very gracious about it, very
And
nice.
how does that come to you, just as a process? So you're sitting in the cafe, you see these... what
instant.
happens?
Just instantly.
You just have it's almost like a gut feeling.
Yeah,
is it?
I've never had to meditate. I've never had to switch on. People
Nobody's in your ear. No ghosts, as it were, saying
it's
this is
just a
going to
vision.
happen.
It's just suddenly I was seeing Mark in this incredible situation, and then seeing the Hollywood sign that we're all familiar with, and the film industry. And then with my other friend, it was the comedy at the level that was amazing, wonderful. It's an instant thing. It's not even I've got time to think about it.
And have you ever changed anyone's career path? Have
Loads,
you ever said...
hundreds, thousands.
Have you?
Thousands.
You've said you should be
I
looking
don't mean that
at
arrogantly,
this,
by the way,
yeah.
thousands, yeah. There are so many people, which I'm really proud of, living the life, and they would say that. They've given me the credit for it in a lovely way. They're living the life that I forecast for them, and they went down the path because of that forecast. They chose that path confidently or positively, because I describe it in a way that you can't mix it up, and you can't think, "Oh, did she mean this?" I don't do basic. In fact, a lot of people wouldn't come to me because I was too open and honest and too graphic.
Yeah,
Right.
and
So
quite specific.
they just say, "I don't want a reading with Julie. She's too..."
It's too
real.
specific
Yeah,
and too
too
real.
specific,
Yeah. And you went into the corporate world as well, didn't
Yeah.
you, for a little while?
Yeah.
Away from kind of the personal readings. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The reason I did it was the Facebook had come out and Twitter and things, and I started to feel uncomfortable with the accuracy on my readings. I was always really, really happy with. And afterwards, people would be like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing that you knew that." Then I'd get one or two comments saying, "Have you seen my Facebook?" It's like, well, I only knew your name as John or Susan or whoever. Why would I? And I started to feel a little bit depleted by it all, thinking, "Oh, I'm getting accusations of looking on social media."
Yeah, so not thinking that you were being genuine.
Yeah,
with what
and
you
I've
were
never
doing.
had that, you see, I've never experienced it. Then there was also an influx of, interest in the work generally, and people coming out of the woodwork wanting to be psychics and tarot readers and everything. And I just felt like I'd lost the passion, and I'd always worked passionately and dedicated, and that wasn't there. And I always said I would never work just for money. I would never do a reading just for money. It wasn't what it was about. So I thought I need a break, but I wasn't sure what to do. I'd never tested my own intellect because I didn't do that well at school with the gift. It had kind of distracted me. So I had the chance through some business clients to work within a business corporate world, forecasting.
Wow.
And I thought, give this a go, because I'm a bit like that. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, well,
See
yeah.
what it's like. And it went, it just flew, absolutely
So
flew.
when you say forecasting, what were you...
Well, I was
Yeah,
working in
what-
things like the retail industry, so I was forecasting trends within the industry and
wow.
forecasting things related, the problems ahead financially for companies and the high street. And then I was working in the oil industry and people who were working around finance. And so it was a wonderful, very businesslike. I had to change to do it because I had to be seen as a forecaster, not a psychic, not anything. And I had a lovely moment. I went to an official night corporately one night, and I was sat next to this woman. She went really serious. I know who you are. And I went, oh, well, I don't know who I am. Do you know who I am? You know, I thought, but she was fine. But so I had to do it in a very businesslike way, which I was capable of, because as an ex-civil servant, I'd worked in offices and worked around, you know, certain type of business. And I loved it.
How did that change then? So from having those personal readings and talking to family members, how was the change then?
It meant that I was dealing mainly with the future. So my forecasting of the future was on like mad. It was crazy. But I felt that was for me a lovely way to do it, because I had to do it instantly. So I'd be forecasting something and the day after it had to be right. Whereas with a reading, it might be a year to 2 or 3 years, and someone would come back and say, you know, that came true in 2 years' time. This had to come true the following day, the following week.
What an example of that? What would you forecast that might come true the next day? How would that work?
Well, the only thing I can say, away from like the corporate world, I was Heat Magazine's celebrity psychic for about a couple of years, and they were bringing out Big Brother. So they said to me, can we send you the names of the people going into the next series? That's all we'll send you is the names. And will you tell us who you think is going to win?
Wow.
Well, that had to be a quick forecast because they were going to print it really soon.
Right, yeah.
So I went through everything, looked at names, looked at a photograph. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
And I predicted Brian Dowling would win it. And I predicted the first exit.
Right.
And I predicted the one they would have problems with. So they did a write-up in Heat Magazine, and within weeks it was all coming true and showing. And I did also Pop Idol.
Right.
And I forecast that Will Young would win, but Gareth Gates would have the first number one.
Right.
And he did. He
Yeah,
did
I remember.
Straight in the
I
Sky.
remember.
Didn't he do Straight in the Sky, I think? Or
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
No, Ghost, the theme from Ghost, I think. Anyway,
Oh,
but
yes.
Oh, yeah, Unchained Melody.
That Unchained Melody.
that was it.
So those that was a bit like the corporate world. It had to be a relatively quick.
Has there been a period in that time where you didn't get something right, or there was something that wasn't correct to what you've... No. Well, that's what I want to hear. That was the answer that I was looking. That was the answer I was looking for. I'm not trying to trip you up. I'm just
if ever it's
interested.
kind of felt wrong, I used to say to people, look, I'm making the forecast, obviously.
Yeah.
Please take it on board. And I wouldn't be saying this to you if it wasn't good for you, if it wasn't right for you. If you don't follow it, it won't come true. So sometimes people would come back and they would say to me, I didn't follow it. It didn't come true. You're right. Let's start. And I said, let's start again.
Well,
let's start again. But no, I wouldn't. No, I don't remember not saying it.
Because I think there's some people that would say as well, you telling them what was going to happen will influence their decision to go down a specific road. And you've kind of just touched on that.
It did kind of influence, but they had a choice, you know. And I think, again, it had to be, the detail had to be very, very explicit. It wasn't, I see a change of job. It was where, when, how, what that would lead to, how it would branch out into other things. So the detail was the thing that convinced people.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear of readings and someone said, oh, you know, I see something happening in April, or I see a difficult time ahead, I'd be like, what difficult time? Why?
Well, everybody has a difficult time.
Yeah, that's it. Why is there a difficult time?
I know sometimes
I want to know.
And they'll say, do you know someone called John?
Are you going to, you're going to meet somebody. It's like, well, who am I meeting? Where are they? Yeah, you know, so for me, I probably am the nosiest medium ever regarding the spirit world. They laugh at me in the spirit world because I'm like, why, when, what, how? Come on, give me more, give me more.
And the spirits can tell you what this is going to happen to this person.
Oh yeah. If I banter with them in that way, it sounds strange. This will sound really strange to say, but I'm very known in the spirit world, so they know me and they know what I'm like, and I am very demanding to work with on that level. It's not the people that come to me, it's the people I work with spiritually and my father. And so I ask a lot of questions, and I do want to know a lot for the person that sat with me.
Right.
Because I think that why would I be doing this otherwise? Why did I not just stay in the civil service,
Yeah.
promote the way I could have done?
It's almost like it's your destiny, wasn't it?
Oh,
But it's not always been easy, has it? You've lost friends through it.
I've lost friends. It's been very difficult to have friends because you can't just say to me, oh, I'm thinking of moving house. So I would go,
Duh.
Why?
Don't go there.
Yeah. Really, yeah.
Or my house is on the market. What do you think? Right then, shall we have a...
You've not got a poker face then.
No, not at all. So I think with friends, I haven't always found it easy to have friends. Not because I'm not friendly, because I hopefully am. It's because how do you talk about things without me? Because now and again I've said jokingly, now do you want Julie Crier or do you want me? And they're the same person. There's no split between me, you see.
Yeah.
So that I've felt a bit lonely in that way. And I think also there are people that are very nervous of me and find me intimidating, not because I act it, but because of what I can do. So it unnerves them and it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I get that, really. I do have to tolerate that.
Almost afraid of what you know about them, I suppose, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's the thing, isn't it? It's that unknown and that feeling uncomfortable.
I think people just think that if I sit down in a hairdresser's, I think people think I'm just going to sit there and give out messages, and I never do that. I've never gone into anywhere and started saying to somebody, oh, I get this for you, and oh, I see this and I see that, because that's intrusive.
But you could, are you hearing these messages in the hairdressers? Yes.
Yeah.
Could you do it now? Like, is there stuff happening now as we're saying?
Yes, but I think the issue is I'm always very conscious of the privacy of the person that I'm doing it to.
Of course.
And if I say something that I think is fine to say, and then it's inappropriate or it's too personal, my concern would be is that I'd cause that person hurt or anything, or just feeling like, oh, I didn't want that mentioning. So it isn't as easy to blurt it out as people think.
Yeah.
Because I've said some really, really personal things to people that, you know, they really haven't wanted anybody to know.
No.
At all.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, wasn't it, about that filtering stuff when you're being told something.
And on a reading, it's just the two of us. And if it's uncomfortable, I would say someday, I don't have to go any further with this. Do you want me to stop? Usually they've said no. They've been quite relieved. And I think over the years, it became obvious that it was never, ever going anywhere. It wasn't been discussed with anybody. And that's a big thing.
Yeah, the confidentiality.
You can't dine out on your readings.
I know, because when we talked before this, and you said there's certain people I'm happy to mention, but you've done some big A-listers.
Yeah,
you've
big.
Done some
Even
big stars.
people that work in the film industry in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's exciting, but again, it's a reading, and they've come from word of mouth. But that I've got to say, it's quite a downside though, really, because most work you do, like you could say who you've interviewed. But I have to keep everything a secret. And Christine, you said one day, I think you're just everybody's guilty secret, like jokingly, because I can't say who I've done.
No.
Right.
And I do find that a bit of a shame.
Why do you think people don't want to admit that they've been to see you?
I think they don't always tell people they're coming to me. So there could be the family issue, because I've done that a lot, where I've known somebody's husband or wife didn't know, and that's private. I think with famous people, it's the fact that they may fear that the papers would get in touch with me and I would be coerced into doing a story, which would never, ever happen. No. I could be offered the world and I wouldn't do a story. No. Not at all. I think it's a multitude of things. And I think they see the reading as private, and it is, by the way, and personal. So why should it be mentioned? But I've then seen them advertise the kitchen company, their nail girl, their reflexologist, and I think, wow.
But
so for me,
they're almost ashamed of admitting they needed to.
I think it's just uncomfortable rather than ashamed, or you know, I can't really explain it, because if I'd gone to me and had the kind of reading that I'm capable of doing, I would happily say to somebody. And I have had some lovely recommendations, by the way.
I've been to you, and you are, and I've got to say, you told me things that I know no one could have known about, and I do, and I think my dad at one point came, and you spoke like my dad.
Well, that's one of the reasons I also became successful, was I mimic spirit. So again, the story a bit later, the person I was around said I should have been on the stage as a mimic because I mimic spirits.
Pick
So
up
they'll
the way
say
they
to me,
speak. Mm.
"Gosh, you sounded like my mum then," or "You just did the things that my son did."
Yeah.
So I would bring back I think it's important that you bring back their character.
Yes. Yeah.
So sometimes on a reading, I've said to somebody, "Gosh, your dad's horrendous. He's a nasty piece of work." And they've gone, "That's my dad. That is my dad." Whereas if
Well, my dad's a worrier, and
Yeah,
you picked up on that straight away. He was very worried about things that happened in my life, and I knew straight away it was him.
You can feel it, can't you? So when I've said that, people have said, "I would have walked out if you'd said my dad's here and he's wonderful. I'd have just said I don't want the reading."
Yeah.
So you have to. Well, I feel you've got to bring their character back.
Yeah.
And the mimic inside is a natural mimic. It's not force. It's just as I'm working, I become totally engrossed in that person.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm probably more engrossed in the person in the spirit world than the person I'm doing the reading for.
Wow.
What is it like being you, though? Do you know anybody
Awful.
else like yourself?
It's just awful.
Is it really? Is it?
No,
It must be.
It's a mixture.
Your life
of,
must be so unusual.
It is. It's a mixture of bewilderment as to why. Why did I get this? Because it isn't like anything else. I know it isn't. And because I've had it the whole of my life, why have I not experienced whatever normal life is? To be a normal person it'd be a bit of a novelty. If I could be that for a day, I'd quite like to see that. It's been incredible, breathtaking, wonderful, exciting, all those wonderful things. And it's also been a nightmare because I've had so many experiences that, particularly as a child, that a child should not go through. And
what are you able to
again,
say?
seeing spirit and talking and
yes.
visitations and even as a teenager, when you're going through all the teenage years with boys, my biggest thing was that a boyfriend would find out about it because I was constantly trying to not be what I'm capable of.
Wanted to fit in with everyone else.
Yeah, and so it's been a roller coaster, but I've got to say, if someone said, if you had the chance to be born without it, I actually have a feeling that I might say yes.
Right.
And that's quite surprising after everything I've experienced.
You'd have a completely different life, though.
It would be completely different, but I was ambitious anyway. And I think ambition's a wonderful thing because you go into all sorts of things if you want, you try different things. But for me, there's things I haven't done. Like I wanted to join the police force. I couldn't go in the police force. Psychic.
You can't.
I can't do jury service.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm classed as a psychic, obviously.
Oh, so they won't allow you to do jury
when I
service.
got the letter about jury service, I rang them and said, "This is my working title, but I am this," and they just said, "Fine, we'll withdraw you."
Wow.
So
I know the police do. I know it's not widely known, but the police do speak to.
Well, they do. I've had experiences with the police. I've done some lovely police readings, as in individuals from the police service and that, and they've been lovely people. But the couple of times I've had incidents with the police, I got visited by the police because I actually described on a reading a murder situation, and when they were interviewing the guy that come for the reading, he was telling them some things that he shouldn't have known from the reading. So they knocked on my door one night and were really quite brutal.
Right.
Yeah, they would run about subpoenaing me to court and everything.
Gosh.
And then I got contacted about the police about helping on a case, and I just said no, it's not what I want to do. No. A lot of skeptics in the police force, I would say.
Yeah, but I do know they have used psychics to sort of maybe find leads that they might.
Yeah, help with cases.
I don't think they completely.
I'm sure they have, and
attacked.
I don't doubt they have, and hopefully they've had great success. It wasn't something that I wanted to do and felt that I needed to do, and because of my past in the civil service, I felt that I wasn't the right personality for them, because I wouldn't. If there was any skepticism, I wouldn't just take it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is it? Why do you think you? What is it about
I really have
you?
got no idea, Christine. I really haven't.
Has no one in the family ever had?
Never.
No.
I haven't got a single relative that's got an ounce of anything. I'd say to my mum sometimes, "Have you got any visions?" No. There's like nothing, blank.
Nothing there.
No. My sister would go, I think I see a table leg or something. You know, it's like there's nothing, there's nobody.
No, I wonder what it is about your mind and how who you are.
This might sound more crazy than saying you're a medium. I sometimes feel that I'm partially from the future, in the sense that maybe in 50 years' time, people will have incredible abilities that we haven't quite tapped into yet through our mind. We've already got it anyway, haven't we, with certain things. We're more open to things than we ever were 50, 70 years ago. But I think I can't even explain, because I don't know why. I really don't.
Because you have been asked, haven't you, to have some tests maybe?
Yeah.
Because I know scientists do believe we only use part of our brains, and maybe
I
you're
believe,
using a
I
part
believe
of your
my brain, if your brain is on full capacity, mine is, and more. Scientists, I've done some scientist readings, again, personal readings, and one in particular, very eminent guy, wanted to do tests on me. But my fear was what he would find, and would that become, they wanted to investigate me further, and it became,
you don't want to be
not comfortable.
guinea pig in a lab.
Yeah, like a guinea pig, and it felt it was going away from the gift and why I was doing the readings and what it was all about, and it wasn't something that appealed to me, and it made me feel like it would. I felt it would scare me, because I don't think I really wanted to know to what extent I could do things.
Yeah, and it'd be maybe opening a can of worms as well.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to spoil what I was.
There are other people who say they can do what you do.
There's many. And I'm not saying people can't, by the way, but I think the proof is in who goes to them, who trusts them, who believes in them.
Yeah.
And often I've been doing readings for people from, London or abroad, thinking, well, if there's some great mediums around, why aren't they going there?
How interesting.
Thank
How
you.
amazing is
Thank
that to
you.
hear your story?
Fascinating.
Absolutely fascinating.
And we have to say, we know people who, for religious reasons or whatever their own personal beliefs, will still think.
And I respect
there's
that.
not. I know
I do
you do,
respect
and that's
it a lot.
That's the good thing is you're open to everybody's opinions
Absolutely,
and views.
Yeah.
But this is your life.
It is.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What we do is we ask all of our guests to bring in two things.
Right.
So something that means something really special to you, but it's also something that means Yorkshire to you, Julie.
Right.
So what have you brought for us?
Well, Christine, and this is
Oh,
Yorkshire Television.
Yes.
Because
The
in
chevron.
1968, Yorkshire Television came onto our screens, and living in a mining village in Kippocks, I was like, wow, the world exists outside Kippocks, Yorkshire Television. It also, because of junior showtime, made me feel like I wanted to be on the stage.
Yes.
I wanted to perform. I love the fact we got local news. I loved it, because in those days, you just hear the news at 10, not news at 10, but something.
Yes.
And I then became the sister-in-law of one of the presenters, Alan Hardwick, which was a bit strange back in the 70s, a few years
Alan
later.
was a colleague of mine on Calendar.
And he was, he's a lovely man. So this represents for me Yorkshire, because wherever I am in this country, I tune into Yorkshire Television. So even if we're getting another type of television, I tune into this.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel very linked with Yorkshire, makes me feel at home. And we went to see 321.
Did you?
When it was first
Old
made.
Dusty
And we've
Bin,
got
yeah.
my mum and dad on video because of it.
Have you?
So this for me is a very personal sign of Yorkshire. And I still, as I say, wherever I am, if I can watch Yorkshire Television news, I do. I love it. It keeps you up to date with everything going on in our world. It also made me realise all the different accents in Yorkshire that you don't know when you live in a little village.
Yeah.
And all the different way of life.
Yeah.
The rural, the city, and I'm very Leeds. I love Leeds. I worked in Leeds in 1975. It was just, wow.
Yeah.
So this for me, Yorkshire.
The
brilliant.
lovely yellow chevron.
It's
I
just,
love it.
and the noise, when it used to come on, and
Yeah.
it just
I remember
made me
that.
feel at 10 years of age like, wow, there's a world out there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a discovered Narnia.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Oh, that's a great thing. So what else have you brought in?
Right,
This is something
one,
special
and I referred to this.
to you.
Right. I'm going to cry.
Oh.
The year 2000, I went to see Dinner Ladies Made on a regular basis because my dear friend was Tony
Yes.
in Dinner Ladies. So I was a guest and often went and loved it and got to meet the cast and everybody. One particular event we went to, it was winter and we were supposed to be staying somewhere and we couldn't get there. We couldn't get in. This person had forgot. So Victoria Wood had heard that we were travelling back to Leeds that night in bad weather with our 8-year-old son. So I got a tap on the shoulder. I'd spoken to Victoria briefly, but she was very private and lovely, and and she said, "I understand there's no room at the inn tonight." And she said, "You're staying with me."
Oh.
So I went,
lovely.
I'm shaking her. I said, no, it's all right. We can drive. She said, no. She said, I've got a son your age. You're not travelling back to Leeds in this weather.
Gosh.
And she wrote on 2 dinner plates, paper plates, her phone number, her address, directions to the house.
Oh, wow.
She said, when we get in the cars, just follow me, but you've got the plates with you. And we went there, me, my son, my husband. She made us toast for supper. We talked, we laughed. She was the one that said I was a mimic.
Right, yeah.
Because when we were talking, I was chatting away, and it was just the most surreal. She was the starstruck. She's the one that...
She's the one that
She was the one when I first met her. I couldn't believe I was in the same room.
Gosh,
I adored her.
Yeah.
She was just the most beautiful soul. The following morning, we got up, had breakfast. In walked Jeffrey Durham, the great soprano that I'd seen on 321. He was on the 321.
He was her husband, wasn't he? Yeah.
And got hugs off Vic and everything. And then, rumour has it, she then wrote a quick episode of Dinner Ladies called Christine about a very weird psychic. Now, apparently, this was not on the cards. So I was warned that there was this very weird episode coming out. I mean, if it was in like tribute to me, I'm honoured totally. Met Vic a few times afterwards, went to her shows in Harrogate, met her backstage, went for coffee with her.
To become friends with her.
Oh, she was just... the last time I saw her was in Cumbria, in the Lakes, at a theatre where she was doing a production. But she was everything and more that I could have ever hoped. And she was just absolutely beautiful.
Is it okay for me to ask, has she come back to you since?
Yeah.
She has?
Yeah. Well, when I was thinking of what to bring in, at first I thought something from my son, something from my husband, something personal in that way. Then there's lots of other memorabilia from my work. But
this is where
I'd forgotten that I'd got these. They're in a drawer.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I had the guest pass. And I was inspired to go look in the drawer.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic. And
well, it'll be out of date now, I think. Yeah.
And Victoria was an incredible talent.
And I think we'd been watching her for years on As Seen on TV and all the different programs that she did, but she just was for me. Well, I remember being on the very first variety show that she won. The competition show.
Oh yeah,
talent show.
She was.
Yeah.
Was it New Faces? Was it
Opportunity
Knots?
No, it wasn't Opportunity Knots. I think it might
have been New Faces.
It might have been.
Right.
Yeah. But when I was in the kitchen and she was making toast and coffee, and I just had a moment of thinking, I can't take this in. This for me, if I never saw anybody, again, well known, this to me has just been the ultimate.
That was the moment.
The ultimate.
It's good to hear what a lovely lady
she was. Very, very, very reserved and very young, private and very quite shy.
Yes.
Embraced you if she felt trust with you. So I felt, again, when we used to, had a coffee and things, I always felt very, wow, it's very special that she trusts me.
Sadly lost her too soon. But
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No,
Julie.
it's
That's
just
a
a very
lovely story.
special moment, and to still have the plates. And I remember her writing them out, and it was just her way.
What a kind thing to do. So she
to tap on the
says a lot
shoulder
about her, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that lovely, there's no room at the inn tonight. I thought that was really, because it was Christmas.
Yeah, and what a memory to have.
Thank you.
That's so lovely.
Well, thank you for telling us about that, for bringing in your special objects, but also for telling us about your incredible life and
Thank you
career.
so much. It's been a complete pleasure.
I've really enjoyed
it.
And thank you for being so open about everything as well. And I know, because like we were saying earlier, I think people will maybe not agree with some of the stuff and are skeptical. But I think it's really important to say your side of the story.
I think scepticism is healthy in any form, and it should never be broken down. It should be left to decide whether that you change someone's mind naturally. And I've changed a lot of people's mind naturally.
Right.
And that's how I've wanted to do it.
Fab.
Julie
Thank
Crier,
you.
thank you
so
for being
much.
our guest
Thank
on
you.
Yorkshire Talks.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time. Do not forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all the platforms, but we will see you next time.
We will see you soon.
Bye.